The mics are really hot, in case you can't tell. We'll call the August Park Board meeting to order. We'll start with an oath of office for our newest Park Board member. And you get to stand and raise your right hand. I, Ed Goff, having been appointed to the office of Parks and Recreation Board,
having been appointed to the Parks and Rec Board,
within and for the city of Mitchell, Davison County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said city of Mitchell, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of the office of Parks and Recreation Board. Welcome.
Thank you.
You sign it. Make sure it gets back. Next comes election of officers. We'll take a nomination for Park Board President. And personally, I don't think we should nominate anybody who's not here.
You're probably the longest tenured one on here.
I don't know, probably, but
If you are nominated, you can decline, but it's up to you.
I'll nominate Norton. I guess I'm okay with that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations? I have to ask this 3 times. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? We have a nomination for Luke to be our Park Board President. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Welcome and congratulations, Luke. Now you will lead the election process for the next 2 people, and that would be Board Vice President and the Secretary Treasurer. If you're comfortable doing that.
Do we have any nominations for Vice President?
You yourself can nominate somebody. Who you're nominating? I'm sorry.
I don't want to nominate anybody without them. Can they nominate themselves?
Yes. Everybody keeping their eyes down. Don't hold eye contact. Don't hold eye contact. Don't smile. Basically, the VP steps in and has to run the meeting if the president isn't here, and I will guide the process. There's nothing scary about it.
I'll take the VP.
Sounds like we have a nomination for VP, being Dennis. We have a second.
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations for VP? All in favor of Vice President being Dennis, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Sorry I stepped in, Luke. You were going to run that, but I just kept it going.
Any nominations for Secretary Treasurer?
Basically, this is third in line. You aren't tasked with keeping any records. That's
I was last time and I only did it once, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
in a 2-year span or so.
Yeah, I think so.
I would do it if nobody else feels the urge.
I would do it also, but it doesn't
So, does one of you want to nominate the other, or are you going to arm wrestle for it?
I'll be secretary and I'll be treasurer.
It's a combined position, but thank you for the thought on that. They years ago when I was on boards, they actually used to be 2 separate positions.
You can go for it.
I'll do it.
Okay. So we have a nomination for Bryce. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations for secretary treasurer? Do we have any other nominations for secretary treasurer? Do we have any other nominations for secretary treasurer? If not, all in favor? Luke?
All in favor, same side.
Aye.
I say aye. All opposed. Motion carried.
Congrats, guys. Now we basically roll right down the agenda, Luke.
Citizens input. Nobody. Any delegations? No?
I had to get the camera on the people here versus the agenda.
Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Minutes from the July Park Board meeting.
And this stays really efficient if everybody comes in and says, I looked them over and I think they were good, but I did keep them as brief as I could. They're about a page and a half, page and a quarter here, so I'll put it on the screen. I highlighted that portion on what was approved as far as the campground rules, just so people would know what was changed in the campground rules.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approve financial reports.
And if you think the city council meetings, they never go page by page through all the reports. It's a kind of a motion and they go through it, but I'll scroll through it if you want me to.
The only question I had is there was one, I can't remember which one it was, but it was very difficult to read.
Okay? Something on the report.
Anybody else notice that? It looked like when they scanned in.
That one
Yeah, and then there was one under the parks as well, if I remember right.
looks like the toner was getting low. Because it wasn't even scanned. That was a document saved as a PDF
Oh,
into the computer, and then I simply transferred it over.
yeah, there were several pages under the parks one that were similar, if not worse. Kind of towards the end.
No, excuse me, on the bills they are, because I have to separate out, it comes, all the city bills are together in 40 to 50 pages, and I click on the ones that I want to print, then I scan it in as one document. It's on the financial reports that I don't need to scan and print.
Yeah, there. That's where it started to kind of get.
Yeah, I'm seeing repair main doors up, kick
You can
down,
read Cromer Plumbing, Outdoor Aquatic Center.
Hawkins.
But you can't read an amount completely. It looks like $698, but no cents.
You are correct. Paulson sheet metal, 12,000. Thank you for reading it ahead of time. Next time you see something like this, if you could email me too. Then
I read them at about 5:15 this evening. So
okay. Thank you for your honesty. But basically, this is a copy of what the finance department prints out. So it's already gone through council.
anything in any of the portions that were hard to read that you thought were worth calling out, Kevin?
Mm-mm. There was nothing that stood out as far as bills or that you guys know from your divisions. Standard stuff. That one from Paulson's for 12,000 was that either of your two? I don't recall. That's something for Aquatic Center, Rec Center. And Thomas would have been here, but it's family fun night for city employees at the Aquatic Center, so that's where he is. Not that he's enjoying the Aquatic Center, but he needs to be there because that's his division. Capital equipment. Paulson sheet metal. That's the only one that caught my eye as well.
Okay.
Anybody want a motion to approve the financial reports?
I'll move to approve the financial report.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Department reports.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, just been doing, the guys been doing typical park maintenance. Got Hitchcock ready for Artisan Park, which was July 25th and 27th. We're grinding tree stumps around town from all the trees that we removed. The west tennis courts have been resurfaced. We got a little bit issue with some expansion joints over there that they're working out some different products on.
And what that is that it's a cold joint where the court itself was a pour and the surrounding concrete was a pour, and court to court going east to west, that same seam is there. And when they poured it, they beveled the edge versus just leaving it a flat joined together edge, which makes for a little bit of a groove or a dip. That is what always separates out and causes an issue because it cracks right away. So he caulked it, painted over it, and tried it again, did the same thing. He, over in the test area in the northeast corner, he tried 2 different types of caulk aside from what that original product was, and it did the same thing. It gets cool and it sinks in, it gets hot, it expands, it sticks up out of the joint. So the issue was he was looking for a paintable caulk. Now they're going to look for one that's not paintable, so we may end up with a little bit of an off color on those seams. Hopefully you can find something close to match. If not, we'll have a 1/4 inch gray line running up and down those seams. But I said it's ultimately more important to have something that's not going to allow the water to penetrate into those cracks than what it is to have a matching color. Because when it splits and you have the stuff peeling up right away, it's less than acceptable. Yeah, you have a consistent color, but it doesn't look like you had a good job done. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Steve.
No, that's fine. Other than that, the pickleball courts, you know, they got the fence put up. They've been painting the colors on the surfacing itself. I think they should have got that done today, and hopefully tomorrow they'll be painting the lines for the pickleball courts. I think their plan was to be done with the surfacing of them this week, but they might push into next week.
And the issue there, if it gets to be 90 degrees, is the paint dries too quickly, so they have to hold off and only paint either in the morning or a late afternoon is always hot, it seems like, till 6, 7 o'clock.
But then we're kind of the big things. The rest of it's just typical park maintenance stuff. Any questions?
Remind me of the stump removal on boulevards. Stump removal is at no cost, correct?
For the trees that we remove, you know, it's in the cost of if they were charged for the removal of the tree. If it's an ash, it's no charge. But if it's a tree that we removed, it was part of the cost of the tree removal.
And if they had it done privately, same thing. They're responsible for the stump
They
removal.
should be responsible for their own stumps. If they removed them or had the power company remove a tree, it's always been that they're responsible for them stumps then.
So, and what about replanting? I just noticed in my neighborhood that there's been some stumps removed, and I didn't know if those were removed by or removed originally by the city. I think they were. So they just got around to removing the stumps, and then what about replanting of those?
I could jump
We
on that.
okay, if you want to. I was going to say we have the Retree Mitchell program that we
So we
offer.
budget several $1,000s a year to go toward replanting. The people, if they want to plant on their boulevards, they're welcome to plant those themselves. If they want to have somebody contracted, like an Andy who was here, come in and do that, they're responsible for that. Except we will pay for up to $100 a tree, 2 trees max per property per year until that budget's
I
gone.
couldn't remember. I remember the $100
Yep.
max, but
And that's on the website if anybody has an interest in that. And there's also a list of eligible trees on there. So if somebody says, well, I want to put a willow because I like willows on the curb, Steve's going to tell you no.
yeah.
And you also have to do a locate, so he'll approve where that site is.
Thank you.
Jeremy?
Pretty much all our summer stuff is done. We have men's slow pitch softball next week, push back for some rainouts. Women's is done. Co-ed goes till the first Thursday in September. Then our fall stuff is starting or will be starting. DW baseball and softball start first week in September. DW soccer has already started. Mitchell Soccer Association's already started. And we're getting the floor ready, moving equipment around, started sweeping it. We're turning on compressors at the ice arena the end of this month, and ice needs to be ready the third Wednesday in September. They did start the stadium dugout remodel. I saw they were pouring some concrete today. That'll go into at least into next week, and the infield is up for council approval on Monday. The bid openings were Tuesday.
And while we're on the subject of Jeremy, he's moving on. He gave us his notice several days ago, and his job got posted today, but he's going to be around for a couple months yet. He'll be missed, but he's moving back home direction. And that's if you want to talk to him more about that at some point, you're welcome to.
I'll be moving to Idaho. My last day will be October 31st.
Backing up to Thomas's information, this is the last week for the outdoor pool. Other stuff coming up, working with programs. He talked about check-in numbers, how they've been hitting highs already this year in terms of where that record is, and then they're that's a good number to have. To know that people are still using heavily in the summer months. All the rec programs that they had this summer looked good. And football going into the fall, I believe there's 4 teams for youth football. And they're also doing some collaborations with youth organizations. My information kind of combined with Steve's when it comes to that story walk. The frames have arrived. Steve's got to fit it into his schedule to go out there and pour those 20 pads. Steve talked about pickleball courts already. I have not received word back on either grant application regarding the trails or the playground application for Genowine. That one to me sounded positive because that was email, kind of a link saying complete this information as far as contact info so we know who's going to be in charge of this, but that doesn't mean we got it yet. It just simply I got something early in the week that hinted we might get it. Our newest park specialist began his duties a couple weeks ago, and that's been a long time coming. That's the position that we added to the parks to replace when we had an administrative assistant. So he's finally on staff and working. I mentioned board officer elections, that trail that goes from the north. They found a few flaws in that concrete, or Terry did out there, and so we'll be doing some repairs in that concrete. But as you may have seen, it's in the area of the campground right now. They actually poured the highway right in front of the campground, but because they couldn't drive off that and use it right away, it had to be cut out, it had to be down lower, and that will be the last segment to be fixed after they pour everything else, and then they'll have about a 3-day cure period, and that should be open within about a week to where they're driving on the west lane versus on the lower east lane. And then they'll be able to quickly tear into that other side because there's not as many utilities into that one. Park stuff, if anybody's been out to Sandy Beach the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of trimming of buckthorn. I'm thinking prickly ash because that was something that we had up north where I had lived. But buckthorn, cedar, and dead cottonwoods and other stuff that's in there has been cleared, pulled out by a large volunteer crew yesterday, and it's been piled to where a group from the street department will be able to haul it away by a dump truck. Parks vandalism has been pretty minimal, but Jeremy did have something here in the last day, so he's got to make some repairs to a restroom. That's going to be closed for a few days. Tonight we've got something on the agenda regarding boat lifts and dock storage, and we had some information on the pets on sport courts that I've got it on here, but we noticed we already have signage on the East 8 courts. We just don't have the signs up, I don't believe, yet on the East courts. So it's just a matter of there's already a policy there that pets aren't allowed in the courts, but I thought I'd mention it in here that somebody brought it up. So the signage isn't big enough or widespread enough yet for people to see, but signs are what they are. People still don't read them. Proposed shelter at the Sportsman's Club boat landing. I've got that on the agenda here too for something to look at to show where that's going to be. It's somebody will be donating that. That's it for my report.
Move on to approve the rates and locations for long-term rental space for private docks and lifts in select park areas.
So the 4 places that we've discussed are actually on the asphalt of the Sportsman's Club boat ramp parking lot, Sandy Beach parking lot, and the beach itself. First, I was thinking that we would only put it in parking lots because it'd be less maintenance if we didn't have to spray around things and the likes. But after further conversation with Steve, he said it won't be that big a deal to have to take care of it. So we can park it on the beaches and those gravel parking lots as well. So there's several of those gravel parking lots, and the 2 beaches were already there. We had done it at Sportsman's Club, yes, it would have been the other place, but we're not going to put them there because that still will be a rentable facility, and we don't want people to have to go out and see those out in the grounds, even though there's not water in the lake at that point. it would still be something hopefully people will want to rent that facility. As far as the fee, I've got a document that I was working on here. Well, this is the actual document. That would be the rental permit. This is very similar to what we have for the seasonal permit for people to store them on those several sites I just mentioned. This is some wording that was added to it. That permit would be valid from at minimum, or the soonest, starting this September 15th, until the lake level is reached 1 foot from the top of the spillway after the restoration project is completed, which will be 2 years plus out. I wrote on here that if it happens, let's say after November 1st, 2 years from now, you obviously can't go and pull your docks or put your docks back in again or require people to go move it from our public area. So we'd extend it to the next spring, and that's the latest that they can move it off our properties in the spring is May 15th. So that would be about a 2.5 year span, or just a little bit over, that someone could have it on the property. Now, fees.
What are your guys' thoughts on? So you're allowing any time on that date or after to be able to place them there? Would it be easier on you guys to have a window of time that it needs to get done in? So it's not so strung out?
I guess I didn't even think of it in that manner, Luke. What typically happens is that people don't move their own equipment. It's done by one of two contractors. And one being a guy who lives on the lake and another who doesn't, who have that type of equipment. The big pontoon boats with the crane on for lifting underneath it and then hauling it over to an access point for it to be hauled or directly to one of the beaches where it has been stored. In the case of if it ends up in a parking lot, it'll have to be placed on a beach or one of those access lots and then picked up and hauled to those places, and most people don't have their own equipment to do that. And I suspect, even though I've not spelled that out, that the contractors will say, well,
It's got to be done. Whoever's going to do it's going to do all of them
well, one of those two people would.
at the same time. Like
When
you're going to get them all done at once,
Right.
and then be done with it.
in this fall, when people are taking them out of the lake, that's when they get stored.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to bring them in November. Oh, gee, I decided I want to do that now. Well, okay, but how can you get it over here? Because you're not going to put a pontoon back in the lake to haul it across the lake to ensure that it's going to get there. Unless somebody has stored it on another contractor's lawn, now he decides he doesn't want it there and he's going to haul it over. So I don't know that we have to
Okay.
define that, but I appreciate you thinking into it deeply.
You're talking a yearly fee?
I am. I'm trying to get this document to open up. I think I've got it open. There it is. So things to take into consideration. Our seasonal permit or storage is from September 15th to May 15th, up to 8 months, because somebody might bring it over a month later or have it out of there a couple weeks sooner, and we charge $100 per dock or per lift for that 8-month season. Our upcoming storage is likely to be, and as I mentioned, up to 2.5 years, from fall of 2025, like next month or the month after, until likely the spring of 2028, because there's going to be 2 working years, 26 and 27. So even if they finish the fall of 27, it's not going to be full right away just because they're done. They've then got to fix the spillway and fill it with concrete again, and then it's got to fill with water. I've been told that the lake fills with there's enough water flow in the creek to fill the lake 6 times over in a year. We know there's years where it doesn't flow that much, but on average it fills 6 times in a year. So it shouldn't take that long to fill it. That's not a guarantee. So we're looking at probably 2.5 years. I reached out to a couple of vendors in South Dakota, in Watertown. One got back to me and said they don't do it, but he gave me the name of another one. So I reached out to this one, and they're charging $35 a month. I reached out to a local guy who was on the lake. He said he'll be charging $20 a month for storage around here. We can choose to adopt a one-time fee, much like we do with $100 a month. I'm sorry, $100 for a season, or we can look at the other method of the monthly charge. Just keep in mind that if we charge a monthly fee, someone's got to be in charge of charging them, sending out the bills. And I don't have an administrative assistant, so when we rent bleachers and when we rent picnic tables, that's Kevin who has to send out the bills to these people for different events. So if we're doing a monthly fee to people, maybe 30 people for renting out docks or parking their docks, Kevin's got to go into the computer and send invoices to all those people. I'm okay with a one-time fee. People will likely get a bargain by doing that because we're setting a fee not knowing, is it going to be 2.5 years or could it extend a full year beyond that? I don't know. And that's not me saying that it's going to run 3.5 years till it's full again. I don't know the weather. I don't know the contractor's schedule, but just so you know that.
So you're saying one time for the whole entirety, not one time for the year and then redo it again after a year.
Correct. Because there's no way it's going to be done in a year. We're planning on it taking 2 years. So if it's 2 years, it's 2.5 years before it's full again, before it's usable.
$100 a season would be good because you're not competing with the local which paying charging $20 a month.
$20 a month,
People might want to go cheaper, which would help us out with more room for people.
right? I mentioned to him when I talked to him on the phone a couple weeks ago before he came in 2 days ago to talk, that I've been thinking in the range of up to $500 for the one-time shot. Now, as I look at this and see $100 for 8 months, and if it's 30 months, it's about almost 3 times as much, 4 times as much, because 8 times 4 would be 32. That would be $400. I'm okay with anywhere between $300, $450, $500. Just note too that other vendor, if he's putting it on his place or wherever he's got designated for that, all these people who are going to put it somewhere will have to use his services or the other contractor, their equipment, to get it from point A to point B. So they're already going to be working with one guy or the other and us, or one guy or the other and him, or just one guy who will pick it up and put it on his property and store it there for 20 a month.
But we don't want to compete with the private sector.
Right.
Taking business.
But
It's reasonable for us that
you're competing by going cheaper, but because now you're undercutting. But on the flip side, if you're trying to we don't want to look like we're trying to make a big profit off of the public either. You got all that?
I think that was great. It was good.
I personally like the $100 per season. Of course, you have to bill them every year, but at least it's instead of monthly,
I'd still look at a one-time fee.
you still are.
So if you're implying 300, because it'd be for this winter and the next winter and the next winter, but we're storing it over the summer months as well.
You got a plan for like change of ownership? If somebody sells their house or property and they sell these two?
Well, once they put them there, if they're blocked in, they're there till
Okay.
Prepay.
the order in which they came in, they can get them out again.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody wanting to go buy a new one and then say, well, my new one is here. Can you get that out of the way so I can, what purpose would it serve?
I think that also speaks to using the one-time fee method because you don't want somebody to be like, I'm paying you monthly, I want to pull it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good point.
Well, $400 equates to a little bit over the 30 months, but
Right.
if you're saying that it may be 2 years and not 2.5,
That two would,
I would say the 350 would be a good falling point.
because 2 would mean that it's ready to go 2 years from now or next month. And I don't see that people want to take it and haul it back and then store it somewhere else during that time, unless they're putting it on their own yards at that time. But that means you're counting on the lake being full by that time, or they got to transport it by a trailer or pull at the dock with those hollow plastic wheels down the road, however they might get it there.
I would say 350 would be a good not over the. I mean, obviously you're not looking at it taking 2 years, but maybe not 2.5, or it would be a little over that. I don't know. Between 350 and 4 would be fair, I think. For
I know, but I hear people say, well, what's the money you collected, what's it used for?
It's going to go toward the lake improvement.
Yeah,
It's not something
that's
we're sticking into programs and just.
Trim some weeds that you got growing around here. Or fix and repair the.
It's actually going into the bill for paying for the lake improvement.
Okay, that's what I want. So,
Thank you for asking that question. So we've kind of talked about it before a motion was made, and there's really nothing wrong with that, but
I'll make a motion that we charge $350 one time.
I'll make a motion to charge 350 one time, unless there's any concern that that's too high or low.
I'll second that.
so now we got Luke, we got Dennis, and now you say, is there any discussion on that?
Any discussion on that amount, fee, or time?
Does that kind of to Dennis's point? If we come in at 350, does that feel like we're competing with one of those two vendors because they're charging $20 a month? If it's 2 years, that comes out to be $500.
Right.
So we're undercutting that private company then for the storage.
Right.
I guess my thought would be at least come in at the same price that he is. So roughly 500 for the 2 years. That way you're not coming in underneath of them. They'll still have to pay somebody to move their dock then. So at least then we're not undercutting a private enterprise.
How many spots? I mean, you may not know how many spots they have.
If we use the asphalt parking lot, we could fit.
No, I'm talking about the
other
vendor.
person?
Yeah.
He has acquired space north of the lake. I haven't asked where, what. I'm assuming it's somebody's private property. Might be a field, might be. I don't want to imply that I know because I don't. And is looking for some on the south side as well. So he might be able to accommodate all of them.
And it may come down to if we're the same, it may come down to location,
Yeah.
and that's it, and how far away it's going to be. I mean, it might.
Or people don't want it in a public area per se, and they'd rather have it off in somebody's private field. So it's,
Yeah, I'm okay with matching.
so then you'd be withdrawing your motion.
I will withdraw my motion.
Withdraw second.
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, Kevin looked like he was going to say something.
No, well, I was thinking. That's wasn't where my initial brain thought had been in that 450 to 500 range, just because it kind of makes sense. But when you look at the $100 per season, it doesn't. Because now it's steering toward what the other individual did if he sticks with that $20 a month. But when I told him that person in Watertown is charging $35, his eyes lit up. Not saying that means he's going to go that direction. It's just a matter of people have to do business as well.
And that was just the indication that that's not a hard $20 a month.
Right. I'm not steering this either direction.
Yeah.
This is why I've ask for open discussion on it because I didn't come with a plan in mind here.
So if he was looking at, if he indicated 20, but might be looking at more,
I don't think he would.
he would. Okay.
That's just my gut. I don't know that for sure.
In that case, I would make a motion to do a one-time $500 fee.
And I would second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approved donation and construction of a small open-sided shelter at Sportsman Club Boat Landing.
Oh boy, that doesn't look real good. But at least I'd put a little note on there showing where it's pointing. So the asphalt parking lot, this is Sportsman's Club over here. This is the boat landing right here next to the dock that's sticking out into the water. So this is all asphalt. The intention would be to place it in this little finger here, or little peninsula that goes out into the lake. There were some trees pulled out of that last week. There's one more stump over here that Steve has to remove. It was a large Siberian elm, and it sticks up about 2 feet higher than what the parking lot did. So that'll be carved out, and the ground will be leveled back down to either just higher than or lower than the parking lot. But this finger would hold a shelter approximately 10 by 12 or 10 by 14, and again, it would be donated by John and Linda McLeod. I have not seen the plans for it. However, he intends to pour the footings, not the footings, but the slab for it this week. I'm told it would be similar in design to the one that will be going in over at Camp Arroyo. So this is to ask your permission or your approval to place something there. When I have the plans for that next month, I can bring that back to say this is what they're thinking. Or are you okay with saying if it's going to be similar in design, and if I get the okay from the city's building inspector, to just proceed? Do you recollect what those are going to be like over there? It was a sloping design going back at the chimney, and there was going to be a gutter on the backside so the water wasn't flowing at the chimney and actually hitting the chimney and then draining off to both sides and coming back toward the lake.
So they're doing some type of fire thing on that one too, or just the
shelter.
Just the shelter.
Yep.
Okay.
No chimney there. In fact, I think it'll be a really popular fishing spot because it's close to the water and it's covered. Well, 3 years from now it will be. As you may recollect, that park or that parking lot, that area was dedicated in the name of John and Linda McLeod Park last year by Bob Everson on one of his final acts as mayor.
I'll motion to approve the donation and construction based off of city approval.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Dennis.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approve a contract for instructor to teach private swim lessons.
There's not somebody who's interested at this time, but there's been conversation, and this is basically a first step to get that in place to know that we have something in case somebody comes and asks for it. So there's not a person that wants that, but it's just here. It's something that was put together by Justin, our city attorney, just so that we have something in place prepping for that. And people might think, well, golly, I can make money doing that. You guys are charging this much for lessons, and I know I can do it on my own. But if you're going to do it during open swim time, you're going to do this, this, and this. If you're going to rent private pool time, you got to pay for a lane, have your own insurance, and so it's not as simple as just walking in there. I'm not saying that people don't already go in there and teach friends how to swim, but we can't go inspect and investigate and ask every question. Good, you're not writing that down.
I move to approve the instructor to teach private swimming lessons contract.
Is there there's no cost associated with this, correct? No rental, like as far as, unless you're renting out a lane, that would be the cost, correct? Like if I wanted to do this inside the rec center, I'm just going to be charged an hourly rate of lane rental. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Along with filling this out and
I just want to double check it myself.
right there. Well, that a person receiving swim lesson instruction services must have an active membership or pay the daily fee. So there's, well, that would be it. Yeah. So if, I guess that would be a cost incurred that,
Does this contractor go through a similar background check as a employee would?
Nope. Good question. They're not our employee.
Dennis, did you motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next meeting,
Is there a September up there yet? There's not.
August. September.
By calendar, it shows that it would be on the 11th of September.
is everybody okay with the 11th? September 11th, 6 o'clock.
That works.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you much.